Welcome to North Olympic Library System's Aging Well for May 2024. Today, we get to explore mindfulness as a way to manage the challenges of aging and promote growth and joy in the elder years. Richard Johnson is here to guide us on this journey. Richard is a teacher with Mindfulness Northwest, which is a Washington-based organization that brings mindfulness training to communities and organizations in the Pacific Northwest. So thank you for being here today, Richard, and welcome to Aging Well.
Thank you. I am glad to be here. I just want you all to know I'm a certified old person myself. I'll be 83, God willing, in September. Speaking of age, I have been teaching various things since, since 1965. So I'm getting close to 60 years of teaching, and I'm just really tickled to do it. In fact, I was a professor of German and peace studies being learning to help people solve conflicts without killing each other. So I did that for years as well. And then I retired in 2006 and had a little farm. Everything was going to be great. And then 2009 happened. I lost a third of my portfolio, and I just miss teaching. So I'm back at it. I've been teaching mindfulness and compassion since then for Mindfulness Northwest, and have had a wonderful go of it. Just a wonderful time. I'm cutting back because I'm writing a book on how to handle chronic pain with mindfulness, compassion, and core values. So I'm enjoying that a lot. I live in Friday Harbor. My wife and I lived in Seattle for 5 years, and then lived in the Midwest first, and then in Seattle, and just really enjoyed it. But I'm not a big city person. I'm really a little city person. I grew up in Shawnee, Kansas, so I'm where I ought to be. So I'm very grateful to be here with y'all. I'm going to pull up. Did you make me a co-host, Corina? Yeah, you probably did. Okay. You have to get that. I have been teaching a long time, but I haven't been teaching online a long time. I have the last 6 years, and I'm not a great tech person, but I'll do what I need to do here. Screen share, okay. Share. All right. There we are. I'm going to share the flyer, the 2-pager that you should have gotten. I don't know if you did or not, but we have it here. And if you didn't get it, you will get it. Corina will help us with that. So this is a quick start guide to mindfulness. It's very full of information, the 2 pages. I won't get to everything. We will have a chance to practice some mindfulness approaches. So that will be coming up pretty soon. Why do I appreciate mindfulness in my own life? It's a lot of reasons. I started meditating in 1975 because I was miserable, and I became less miserable. In fact, I was always happy when I meditated. And over the years, it's brought a lot of joy to me. And the biggest challenge I've had in this time is that I've had chronic pain the last 7 years. And through meditation and medical procedures and complementary procedures, I've lessened that pain. But it's neuropathy of the left shoulder, but the pain is in the hand. And so I don't know what I would have done without the opportunity to meditate. So I'm really grateful for that, and good doctors and a lot of other things. So what happens is one of the most important things about meditation in general, and specifically mindfulness, is the ability to change our relationship with suffering. We all suffer, all humans suffer, all religions teach about suffering, many philosophies. So what most of us do with pain is we react to the pain. And reacting to the pain makes it worse. It causes more suffering. The more suffering, the more pain, the more pain, the more suffering. So here's a little chart that we have. Well, it's not in chart form, but the bottom of the first page over on the left, I'll look, I won't talk about everything, but what am I adding? When I'm in pain, what am I adding? Oh, it shouldn't happen to me. This is wrong. I didn't do anything, you know, da, 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 da. Oh, I'm a miserable creature. All these different things that we do. They're real. These reactions are real, but they make it worse. So we have a little formula called suffering equals pain times resistance. Suffering equals pain times resistance. What that means is when I resist the pain, when I make a big deal about it, when I feel overwhelmed and angry and frustrated and fearful, all those things, they increase the pain, and that increases the suffering, and the suffering increases the pain. So one of the things that mindfulness does is it helps us take a look at it and begin to respond instead of reacting. So, what I'll do is I'll take 3 deep breaths. I'll do, you know, whatever. I'll sit down for a meditation. I'll go for a walk. I'll go for a meditative, mindful walk. I'll learn to respond instead of react. Do I respond all the time? No, nobody does. But we can decrease the reaction and therefore the pain and increase the response. And one of the amazing things that's happened is there are times when my hand really aches and I still feel joy. Because what's bigger, the joy or the reactive pain? Sometimes the pain is greater, but other times the joy is greater. So this is an option. I didn't know that was possible until I began to meditate. So, which I've done for a long time. So we can look at meditation as a way to the way a mother or a father responds to a crying child. The pain is really crying. It's really the body saying, or the emotions, ah, I feel terrible. And so what does a good parent do? They nurture that child. They hold that child. They care about that child. So instead of reacting against the pain, so you have a crying child. I've seen it happen in grocery stores and places where a parent will get mad at their child because the child is in pain, having a hard time. Life is hard. And that makes it worse. But if I can respond to that child, that crying child, that pain in my hand, things are different. So that's what we try to do, is respond to change our relationship to the pain. We can't necessarily get rid of pain, but we can respond to it in a different way. And that's what this is. I think this is what this is about, really. So key to well-being is to not be consumed by the pain, by the suffering, but instead to learn to meet it or actually hold it. Aging well is the aging process. Let's hold the aging process in a kind and gentle way. It's happening, and the only alternative to getting old is dying early. So that's what this is about. I am so grateful to have practices that help. And the practices, I want to show you this here. At the end, the end of this, the 2 pages, we have more mindfulness resources. Mindfulness Northwest and a lot of other places offer this. Practices, articles, and classes. The practices are free online. The articles are free. The classes and the retreats do cost, but they are, I think, very well done. Well, I'm going to read Mary Oliver's The Summer Day, and in a little bit, I'll give you a couple of definitions of mindfulness, but in a way, this poem and all poems have a way of being mindful, teaching us mindfulness. Mary Oliver's The Summer Day. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean, the one who has flung herself out of the grass, the one who is eating sugar out of my hand, who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down, who is gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down to the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I've been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? I love that question. So, I want to talk a little bit about mindfulness. Here are two definitions, one by John Kabat-Zinn, one of the teacher who began the study and the practice of mindfulness in hospitals. And I was blessed to be trained by him, a wonderful, wonderful teacher and human being. Mindfulness is paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally. I'm not going to take that apart today because of the time element, but I just think it's real important that we look at mindfulness as a purposeful approach to life. We talk about the purposeful pause. All kinds of things are happening in our life, and then I realize I'm kind of in an inner chaotic state or not an aware state, and then I, on purpose, pay attention to the moment. I might pay attention to my breath. I might pay attention to the feeling of my feet on the floor. I might pay attention to what I see or smell or taste. We have mindful eating is one of the great approaches to mindfulness. Most of us are not present at the meals that we're eating in a really deep way. Important the present moment, and important non-judgmentally. You know, when we judge, we move out of what's going on here, even if it's a happy thing. Let's say I'm next to one of these great trees in the Pacific Northwest, and I look up at it, and I've got to take a picture and tell somebody about it. I could just look at the picture, look at that tree, and feel that tree, and hug that tree. I can be present with the tree, and then I'm being mindful. But judgmentally means positive or negative. You're looking great today is still a form of judgment, and it can be nice. But most importantly, I can be present. That's what that's about. And the second definition is in the same page, page 1, but now the lower right-hand corner. Mindfulness is the awareness that arises out of intentionally paying attention in an open, kind, and discerning way. It's pretty much the same definition, but what is different is John Kabat-Zinn talks about non-judging. And here, these two researchers, Shapiro and Carlson, talk about open, kind, and discerning. And I use that as a little checklist. I'm tootling along my life. This is going well, this is not going so well. And then suddenly I realize I'm kind of closing myself off in the world. And then I begin to open to what's going on, even if it's not pleasant. I learn to be kind to myself and others. And then discerning is so different from judging. Discerning means, what's going on now? What's the next best thing to do? That's discernment. So I like this second definition the most. So you might want to look at that poem sometime in the light of these definitions, because I think it really teaches a lot. As a professor of German, I taught, among other things, German poetry, and loved it. So let's just ask you a little feedback, if you like to. Again, I'm 82 and a half, so I'm in my quote golden years, but sometimes it's not so golden. Sometimes the glow is not really here. And so I wonder if anybody here, any of you feels like contributing just a little bit about what you enjoy about this aging process, where you are in your age, or anything that's challenging to you. We only have time for a few comments, but I'd like to hear from you about this whole aging process. Anybody? You can just unmute and talk if you feel like it. You don't have to.
Well, I am finding it challenging. I started having really bad back issues and discovered that I have 8 herniated discs and osteoarthritis, and it's all part of the aging and
Mhm,
progressive.
mhm,
And I'm only 61, and
mhm,
so
mhm.
I was thinking I would be working, and I had a real struggle because I realized when I had to quit work that I put a lot of value on myself compared to my work. And I had to unteach myself that I still have worth, even though I'm not working. Um, I've had to
Mhm.
change my outlook on that.
Yeah, that's so valuable. Thank you for that. That's a difficult thing I am slowly retiring. I'm not doing it very fast. And when I retired from being a full-time professor, it took me a couple of years, and I said, I just can't. I got to get back to teaching. And so I was able to do that. So we laugh about, failing retirement, but the truth is, we all will, if we're fortunate, have time without working, and that's a learning. I like it. It's not so much what I do, it's who I am. And as we age, we have the opportunity to become more who we really are. And that's one of the options in retirement. It's also an option in teaching, and as working on, but working in a different way, less driven and more, this is what I'm doing, what I want to do. So I really appreciate your sharing. It's Jamie, right? Thank you, Jamie. Anybody else that feel like sharing? Something about that's glowing and not so glowing about the golden years.
Hi, this is Tom.
Hi, Tom.
Hi, thank you, everyone, for being here today. I think for me, the best part of aging, there's a lot of negative stuff,
Mhm.
pain and that sort of thing, but
Yeah.
the best parts are the lack of desire, fear, and speed.
Wow.
Um,
Mhm.
um, uh, Losing desire and fear are just the best things that can ever happen to anybody.
Yes.
It takes a while to get used to the speed thing.
Mhm. Mhm.
But when I was still working, I would go into this, I worked in the city, and I would pick out somebody, either a young man or a young woman, and keep up with them step by step and watch them extend their lead. Um, and it wasn't, we were walking step for step, but their stride was longer. My
Yeah.
stride has gotten shorter, my
Mhm.
speed has gotten shorter, but the best
Mhm.
part about that is I'm starting to see things. I'm starting to see flowers and uh, birds. I'm starting to hear birds and see plants that I've never seen before. Uh, Critters. I can't believe the number of critters that are out there.
Yeah.
Uh, that's great. That is wonderful.
Mhm. Well,
Um,
thank you for that, Tom. I really agree with you. And mindful walking, which is we won't have time to do today, but it is one of the great practices, and I learned it years ago. And what we're doing is we are aware of our bodies as we move, feeling our bodies, which is a great gift to have a body and to be able to feel it. And what's around us, critters and trees, and the Pacific Northwest is just gorgeous, just gorgeous. And we can, walking on the beaches or uh, just watching the sunsets is incredible. So all of these things are capacities we have. And when I was young, I was a runner. And for me, if you can run, why walk? Well, I can't run anymore, by the way. But whether I could or not, I wouldn't be doing it all the dang time because I miss things. I don't see as much. I'm not present to the to what's happening around me. One of the guys taking one of my classes, mindfulness class, was on I-5 and he was in a traffic jam, not all that unusual on I-5, and he stopped and just started looking around and the trees and the other people, and he got into being in a traffic jam because he was no longer pushing to be someplace else. He was where he was. So even something like a traffic jam does not have to be a terrible experience. And I love your I mean, we won't, unfortunately, but we could spend the whole time on your 3 points of lessening speed, lessening fear, and lessening desire. Those are huge areas of transformation. And as we age, we have greater options to do that. I've read a couple of books about this, and as we age, we have greater life satisfaction. We don't have better backs, as Jamie said. All of those things. That's absolutely real. This body of mine is not as capable as you talked about seeing, and I don't see as well, and I don't hear as well, but I hear and I see. So that's part of what we're about, is that the opportunity in these last years. And in some ways, we live in a country that is not so positive about aging. I was in India and I was in South Africa, a couple of my travels. And South Africa, and India, there was a lot of respect for me as an aging person. And I was a mere 60 at the time. So these are cultural challenges. There's, our own challenges, but they're cultural challenges. And I'm really glad to hear from both you, Jamie and Tom. One of the things that's great about having a whole class, 8-week classes, we teach them, is that we get to know each other. And what is true is at the end of an 8-week class of 2.5 hours each plus a day-long retreat, that's our mindfulness-based stress reduction and our mindful self-compassion. Those classes teach the teacher so much because we can't think of, I would not have thought to say what either one of you said, although I did have a back that was pretty bad. There are ways to learn as teachers, and the best thing about teaching is students. Absolutely. Thanks to both of you. So the one thing that modern research is teaching us is that well-being is a skill, that we can learn to be compassionate and caring and mindful and courageous, and all of these qualities, we can learn them by practice. This is mindfulness is about practice. I would teach classes on campus long ago, and when I taught them, it was basically reading and discussing wonderful, wonderful experiences, but it was not so much based on the experience of each person. These classes now are experiential and practice-based. And this class I'll give you some practices that I think can be very, very useful. And a lot of it's free, which is just wonderful. So learning to be more present to the world around you, instead of going into the past. A lot of us have years and years of past. And then there's tomorrow. So there's the past and the future. And many of us have stress about the past, shoulda, woulda, coulda. Many of us have stress about the future. Oh my goodness, what's going to happen, with this or that, somebody else's health, whatever it might be. So as the more we can bring our consciousness into this moment, the less stressed we are. It's a wonderful gift. It's a gift, and it's something that we can practice. We can build resilience, greater ease, and as I mentioned before, joy. These are benefits we can have for sure as we age. And if you've not done any meditation, if you've not done any mindfulness practices, this is a great time to start. It isn't that you should have done it earlier. I'm going to send to Karina a handout. It's an 8 benefits of mindfulness for seniors. And I just want to mention, I can pull it up on the screen, but I'll just mention a few things because I want to practice with you, but improve longevity, decrease loneliness. That's something that can be taught in one of the senior centers. May slow Alzheimer's, reduces healthcare costs by, one of the studies said, by 70%. If you're interested in the bottom line, this can help. Improve mood, an actual change in the chromosomes. The ends of the chromosomes are called telomeres, and you can have a couple of studies I read showed a 30% increase in the length of these side, like it's like a shoelace. The ends are the telomeres, and as they actually lengthen through mindfulness practices. And then as caregivers, let us not forget, either you are a caregiver or maybe somebody else is caring for you. This caregiving is such an important thing, and there's a lot of stress involved with it. So these are all qualities that can be gained through the process of meditation and mindfulness. There are many kinds of mindfulness, many kinds of meditation. We advocate mindfulness for many reasons, which I can't talk about today. Let's do a practice, and it's called the mindful check-in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to pay attention in order to your sensations. Just paying attention. You're being mindful of your sensations. My toe itches. I've got some tension in my jaw. Whatever it might be, just pay attention to sensations. Then the next, I'll ask you to pay attention to emotions. Then I'll ask you to pay attention to thoughts. And we're segregating them, these 3 ways of taking in the world, because I want us each to get better at focusing on them. That's part of mindfulness. So I'm going to stand. I encourage you to stand, but you don't have to do anything I say. So let's again, it's about what your body wants and what you're comfortable with. So it cuts off my head, but that's all right. So I'd like you to close your eyes if you feel like it, but don't fall down. And then I'd like you to just notice any sensations in your body. Just noticing, that's all I'm asking. And not to think about them so much, but just to feel them. For example, feeling your feet on the floor. These relatively little feet with this bigger body making contact with the floor. Maybe feeling your breath, a great focus. Even pain is an important feedback. So maybe you're feeling pain someplace. For me, the left hand. Just noticing sensations in the body. So releasing the focus on the sensations in the body moving into paying attention to emotions, fear, anger, frustration, joy, whatever it might be, just pay attention to it. Just notice. Releasing the focus now on your emotions, bring your attention to your thoughts. You all have a thought train. Just notice the thoughts without necessarily be taken away from it as observing the thoughts. Noticing, pay attention to whatever thoughts arise in this next minute or so. And then releasing that focus and returning to the chair if you'd like, or however you're sitting. So what I'd like you to do is meet for 10 minutes with one or two other people in breakout groups. And the idea of this is to share your experience in the same order: sensations, emotions, thoughts, and as much as possible, not make comments like, "I'm not very good at this." None of that. Remember, that's judging. It's just experiencing, recounting what you experienced, and each person will have a few minutes. The persons not sharing have a great opportunity called mindful listening. And when we listen mindfully, we're just totally with that person, our heart, our mind, everything. We're there to receive what they have to say. And there's a wonderful expression in German: "Ich bin ganz Ohr." I'm nothing but one big ear. So that's what I'd like you to do. And then the other thing is to time the person. So everybody has a role to play, to speak honestly about your experience, just what you experienced. This is an experiential class. And then to hear others as they share. And you'll have 10 minutes. And sometime you don't have to do this. If you want to, great. If you don't want to, that's fine too. And so if not everybody joins a room, I have to kind of play around with it a little bit, but we'll get you set up as soon as possible. Any questions about this? All right, I'm going to get us
How do we do that?
Okay. So I'm interested in a little bit of time with what you experienced. One of the main things here is this is an experiential class. And so that was a full bore, whatever was going on inside you. And anything interesting for you, or some things that were pleasant or unpleasant. I just want to get a little bit of feedback. So anybody feel like sharing?
And I'm actually happy to pause the recording if that would make it
I'm happy
nicer.
either way. No problem for me. Recording
Would someone prefer to share if I didn't record? I don't want to prevent someone from sharing
right.
just because of that.
Whatever is useful.
but I know that people watching it later could also benefit greatly from what you might have to share. So it's totally up to each of you.
I can speak. I don't have a problem with that. Um,
Thank you, Evelyn.
I am, well, I enjoyed the practice somewhat, that we did.
Mhm.
When I was standing with my eyes closed, I could feel my feet keeping, trying to keep me in an upright position because my eyes were closed.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I was noticing the feet moving, the shoes, and the shoes move back and forth a little bit
Uh-huh.
as my body was trying to do this sway thing. And that was very noticeable. I
Yes.
didn't. I had when we were thinking about our emotions, emotions, what emotions? And then the little annoyance motion come up in the back of my brain and said, "Oh, and then there are those birds that have a nest in your grass that you don't know where it's at, and you want to cut the grass." Gee, thanks.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Because I've been near a spot and there's two brown-eyed juncos, a male and a female, are flying around and they're talking to me, like, and I'm going like, I'm noticing that you have a problem. That means I might have a problem too.
Thank you for that,
which is
Evelyn.
also, somewhat annoying.
Yeah, real. Well, the
Yes,
thing
very
about it,
real.
thank you, Evelyn. I want to say that my early life, I was taught by my parents not to feel anything but happy. And I want to say that's living a lie. And it hurt my parents' marriage because they weren't clear about what they were feeling. So I am so grateful to live with my wife, who is somewhere over 100% clear about what she feels. And that is so good for me, I'll tell you. And as a former professor, I'd say I'm up to B plus or maybe A minus in that, but it does not come easily to me. But I really appreciate it when I feel my emotions as what is really here for me. Thank you, Evelyn. Anybody else? Anything that was surprising or interesting that you feel like sharing?
I'm not sure if, oops, I deleted my picture. I'm not sure if I was judging or if it was just feeling, but I enjoyed what the Evelyn and can't think of her name that was also with me in my group.
Mhm.
So I thought, is this judging as I was listening to them, what they were saying, because it was in a positive way,
Mhm.
but you brought up that we can make judgments whether it's positive or negative.
Mhm.
And for me, the feeling that I have kind of struggled overcoming was that the way those two men were bombing the beginning of the meeting. And
Yeah.
it was hard for me to be mindful in this mindfulness thing. And I was
Mhm.
very relieved, so relieved that it was handled so well.
Oh,
And
absolutely. So
then
was I. So was I.
that, yes, and that exercise, closing my eyes and feeling my, getting grounded, that helped me to get into it even more. So
Yes.
thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. That illustrates something very important, and that is one that most of us are not really present to our sensations. I'm not speaking about anybody in particular, but we tend not to. And mindfulness helps us be present to the body. The body is, evolved over millions of years, has amazing wisdom, the wisdom of the body. Evelyn, you were talking about how the body so carefully and it's not always easy, but keeping us in balance with our eyes closed. And we ask people to close their eyes in this exercise because um, that's one of the learnings is how that works. And the other thing is when our eyes are open, most of our sensations are visual, 83% in one study. So learning to move into the body and feel the body from the inside out is a great gift. And that's something that I was not very good at either. And I am just present to it. And your question, Jamie, about is this judging or not? I think enjoying life is not necessarily judging at all. It's just, like we're kids. When we were kids, we weren't abused or neglected. We could just flow in life, And then most of us have lost that. Mindfulness and compassion are ways to regain that facility. So I don't see, I think it's beautiful what you did. And during the break, I told Corina, thank you for how well you did that. I'm just really grateful. Okay, thank you so much. I want to move into some other practices because I want you to feel as much of you can. And I don't have time to do all the ones I want to do, but I'm going to do a couple of practices. So this is first of all, now I'm going to go back to my screen share. Here on the second page, it's real important that we realize practicing mindfulness comes in two forms, formal or informal. Formal means you sit down or walk or whatever it is you're doing, and you're giving yourself, you're taking time out for yourself to be mindful. Sitting on a chair or on a cushion for 5 minutes. That's a formal practice. It doesn't have to be long. It can be. It doesn't have to be. That's on the left. But on the right, for example, 2 feet in a breath, which I think we'll have time to practice. You come in front of a door, you close your eyes, you feel your feet on the floor, as Evelyn did, and then take a breath and then enter. So that we come in contact with a lot of doors, car doors, building doors. And this is a way to bring ourselves into the moment before we go into a new experience. So, and then there's a whole lot of different ones. You see the stop practice, awareness of thinking, mindful movement, body scan, loving kindness on the left. So washing your hands every day as a bell of mindfulness of practice. Mindful eating is one of the most amazing experiences you can have. Really savoring the food. I've taught 2 classes on mindful eating. So anyway, it's a magnificent thing. And then body scan. I love the body scan and loving kindness. So we won't get to all those, but I want you to know about them, and you can get online at Mindfulness Northwest or other places, and for free, practice those and see which ones are best for you and see which teachers are the best ones for you. And often when you're new, it's helpful to be guided. So that's another possibility. So remember this, that's the left is formal, the right is informal, and the informal takes almost no time. The 2 feet in the breath takes not even a minute. So when you say, I don't have time to meditate, you have time to be in informal practice. The key is, do you want enough, and do you choose to practice it? So these are 2 options, and I love both, formal and informal. So I'll stop the screen share.
Richard, we have a question in the chat. Could you
Yes.
speak just a little bit on stop on the sheet there?
The stop
Stop
practice?
sign, yes.
Yes. Let's just do it.
Okay.
So let's say something's bothering you a bit. So just if you want, again, close your eyes and recall something that's annoying, like the birds or whatever else it may be, or something serious like a back injury, but not overwhelming. Just recall something. Then just instead of getting caught in that, stop. Take a purposeful pause. Step outside of that the best you can. Take a deep breath in. Observe yourself, whatever emotions, thoughts, feelings you might, anything you might have, sensations, just observe a little bit, a breath or 2, and then go on, proceed into what, coming back to the class or whatever you do. This is a way of handling difficulties that are fairly simple. There's much more involved ones that we're not doing this time, but so it's your stop, S, it's an acronym, S for stop, T for take a breath, O for observe, P for proceed. And here's the thing about proceeding. When you become present to the moment, you do a better job of proceeding. We tend to just hurl ourselves on to this, that, and the other thing. And thank you, Corina, for checking. I'm just not very good at checking chats while I'm teaching a class. So I'm glad you're going to. I'm planning for time at the end as well. So we'll see what we can do with that. So okay, I hope that was helpful. Okay, so let's move to a practice of mindful movement. A lot of people think meditation is simply being physically still. It's not. Mindful walking, we already mentioned. Every time we walk, we can become aware of our bodies, our sensations, and aware of what's around us. And brings us great riches. I love what Tom said at the beginning. So let's just do that. And as with all things, this is completely a choice. And if your body doesn't want to move a certain way, don't do it. Don't. I want to begin by suggesting that you roll your wrists. Just roll your wrists. That's all. Feel the sensation of the roll. Just be interested in this. This helps with circulation, as you probably know. It's great for me because I've had a lot of pain in this left wrist, and this helps. This helps. Let's do another one that helps me a lot. My left hand almost never hurts when I rub them together. So my right hand is a big helper to my left hand. And even if you don't have pain, it's a great thing, sort of pretending that we're washing our hands. Really feel the sensations. And we can feel the left hand feeling the right hand and the right hand feeling the left hand. So this doesn't have to be hard stuff. Let's put our hands on our heart. Just feel one hand on the other hand on the heart. What could be simpler? And this brings us into that loving part of can bring us into that loving part of ourselves. Here's another one I really like. Cupping your face with your hand. Isn't that sweet? I like that. We don't get enough physical sensation often. And so even if we have a loving partner, so sometimes just doing this, or here, let's do one in the back of our neck. This is the center of the body that it regulates the body, the heartbeat, all that. And when we do that, there's a connection then between our hands and that experience. Now, here's one I want us to do, but I can't see you doing it, but I have a reason for it. I'd like you to roll your ankles. Just do a few ankle rolls. And I have a little story about that. Before my son and I took each one, I have 5 children. I've taken each one of them on a trip. And I went to Australia with my youngest son. And we were, before we flew, I read this thing about, it can be dangerous to be on a long flight. Australia is it's a long flight, right? So it can be dangerous. And so you should be rolling your ankles and your wrists. So these are ways to make sure you don't die on a plane. And my son did that, and we didn't die. And so that proves nothing. But anyway, it was a lot of fun. And so these are, again, we're not talking about becoming a powerhouse or a yoga guru. We're just talking about moving the body in a way that is, you can pay attention to. If you'd like to, bring your arms straight up, drop your shoulders, if that works for you. A year ago, I couldn't do this because of my neuropathy. So this is just something that we have to be careful about sitting to. You can drop them if you feel like. We sit a lot, right? So this is a way to notice the body and vivify the body. Let's do a few shoulder rolls. Up, forward and down, up, forward and down. I couldn't also do this before. We're up, forward and down. And now let's go now back. Oh, I did back, up and down. And just now take a moment, close your eyes and feel your shoulders. I think they're probably happy. If they're not, well, that happens too. But these are just simple practices that we can involve ourselves in. Let's do neck rolls as well. So breathing in, drop your shoulder to the right side as you breathe out. Breathe your head back up. Breathe out, drop your chin to your chest. Breathing in, back up. Drop your shoulder to the left. Breathe back in and drop your your head to the back. And then back up. We notice I didn't circle. Neck's not made for that. So by doing these 4 points, you help your neck, but it's not dangerous for you. So that's one of the things that we do. We will often do 20 minutes or 30 minutes of yoga because that's a mindfulness practice. And by mindful practice, I'm just paying attention. It's ridiculously simple. But it's not easy because a lot of times we get caught in our minds. There was a study in 2010 by Killingsworth and Gilbert at Harvard, in which they gave people, well, I don't know if they gave them, but people they would contact somebody by phone or by text, and ask them, people were in this study, are you paying attention to what's going on around you? Are you happy? Or is your mind wandering? This is a great question in life. What makes us happy? Well, the wandering mind, which is a default for many of us, which happens a lot of the time, their study indicated 49.6% of the time, but the wandering mind tends to make us unhappy. We tend to ruminate. We tend to say, oh, it tends to be negatively focused a lot of the time. So by bringing your attention to whatever's going on, I mentioned the guy in the traffic jam in I-5. He was happier simply paying attention to what was going around him or inside him. So that's what this is about. Very important that we do that as much as we can. Let's do a short sitting practice. So you saw in the picture, the image, the person's back was not on the back of the chair. If your back allows you to sit without support, great. If it doesn't, support yourself. This is not a torture chamber. Let's just bring our attention to deep breaths. Take 3 deep cleansing breaths. Just notice how you feel as you do that. And then I encourage you to feel the breath, a normal breath, whatever is normal for you. Just notice yourself breathing. So you're bringing the searchlight of mindfulness in the body, and you're noticing the sensations of breathing. You might notice the sensations in your belly, or your chest, your throat, or your nostrils. Just notice any sensations as you breathe. This is not thinking about the breath. This is feeling the sensations of the breath in the body. It's free and it centers you in your physical being. and the body is always now. So you're taking a break from the past and the future. My handy dandy bell, which I love. And I'm going to lead us, for lack of time, on a very short loving kindness meditation. And here's what we're going to do. I'll get us started. Again, closing your eyes if you choose. Imagine sitting before you is a close friend, and you know that person is wonderful and has some difficulties. So I'd like you to imagine they're here in front of you. You don't have to see them visually. You might, but you don't have to. The main thing is to feel their presence. And let's say a few supportive things to them in our minds. May you be happy. May you be happy. And feel that. Sending them happiness from your own mind and heart. May you be safe and free from harm. May you be safe and free from harm. And finally, may you live with ease. May you live with a sense of ease. These are intentions for this person you care about a lot. Now, releasing that image or that focus, imagine yourself sitting before you. A visualization, if you visualize, but some people don't have to. Imagine that you are sitting in front of yourself. And then let's have a little loving kindness for yourself, which we all deserve. May I be happy. May I be happy. May I be safe and free from harm. May I be safe and free from harm. And may I live with ease. May I live with ease. And we'll end that one again. Typically, these are longer, but it's a matter of time. So we have a few minutes. You can say something about one of these meditations, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral, interesting, not interesting. You can ask a question. We've got some minutes, so I turn this over to you. Anybody feel like sharing something that you went through? I'd like to hear from you.
When we were doing loving kindness meditation, it reminded me back in the day when I used to drive and I used to be annoyed with, you know, everybody's annoyed with me. I started a peace be with you. I would offer the person who was doing the annoying thing, whatever it was, peace be with you. And peace be with me, but I would do them first.
I like that. Yeah.
I thought that was pretty good too. And kindness meditation, I think about.
It's a wonderful idea, and either one helps, that's for sure. And confidentially, I was a member of the peace movement for 50 years. So anyway, I can really relate to that. Everybody needs peace. They do.
Even just offering peace to the other person who's trying to annoy me. They're not trying to annoy me. They're trying to do their thing. They unintentionally were annoying me. It helped me have peace too.
Yes, there's no doubt that in the research about loving kindness, it helps the person who is practicing it. It might help other people. I've had people talk about that, but I don't know that for sure. That research doesn't show it. But when I say, may you be happy, and then the thing about practicing for ourselves, this is really important. I cannot overemphasize the importance of Jamie, with your issue of your back, or whatever's going on. What can we do to bring peace and joy and love and understanding to ourselves, to other people? This does not exclude other people. This had somebody else we focused on, but also on ourselves. Anybody else? Thank you. Yes.
Hi. I'll just say I have been practicing mindfulness for many years now, and I came to it when my husband and I were having a combined health crisis many years ago. So really happy to see this topic and to learn about Mindfulness Northwest. So thanks so much for bringing this today.
Oh, you're welcome, Julie. And this is such a big thing. Most people I know who begin to meditate do it at some time of misery. Humans suffer. Christianity teaches that, Buddhism teaches that, Hinduism teaches that, Islam teaches that. People suffer. What can we do that helps us handle the suffering that's inevitable in our lives and not make it worse? Thanks for sharing that. I'm glad you did that together. I'm sorry you had the challenge, but I'm glad you're on the same boat. Anybody else? Yes. Yeah.
So I went to the website and there's tons of excellent workshops. And where are you located? And where's like the center, or do you just go on the website and choose what you want to do? Or
Okay, that's a great question. Thank you for checking out. The center is actually in Bellingham, but we teach classes from Bellingham down to Tacoma. A lot of what we're doing is online because of the problem that some people can't get to these classes, either because of ailment or location. So we teach online. So some classes will say online, and some will say Seattle. My wife and I teach yearly a day of gratitude in Bellevue. We drive down from Friday Harbor Market, not the marketplace, oops, from Friday Harbor where I live. I just was at the marketplace. So we do that. We have, when people have taken an 8-week class with us, that which cost a certain amount, but I think they're quite reasonable. Then afterwards, we offer free classes once a month. My wife and I teach that on a Sunday evening, the fourth Sunday of the month. So we have a combination of in-person and online. I think the in-person classes, if you can get to one, great. But if not, for heaven's sakes, the online is real. It's like a difference between an apple and an orange. They're both good, but they're not the same. So did I answer your question, Jamie? Yeah, these are, yeah. I mean, I've taken a lot of classes over the time that I've been a teacher. And every year I have at least a 5-day silent retreat because it's good for me. That's helpful. We have another minute. Anything else, anybody?
Can I bring attention to a question that Mary posted in the chat earlier when you spoke about increasing the length of the telomeres?
Yeah.
What is the benefit of
You live
that?
longer. You live
Okay.
longer. Yeah, there's two different studies, and Carlson is one of the researchers for that. It's amazing what happens. I think that we were set up that in our bones, in our hearts, in our minds is the need to have silence and reflection and, whatever you want to call it. And so when we do it, we get healthier. There's no doubt about it. We get healthier. That I mean, that meditators over a 5-year period, in this article we're going to send you, meditators had saved 70% on medical costs. That's quite amazing. So I believe it's a human need, and we're going to do it or not. But the thing is, the informal is golden. It's a wonderful thing. Just wonderful. Well, thank you. I hope this has been helpful to you. I've enjoyed it immensely. This is my last formal class, getting paid. I'll be teaching more, but not much for pay. Thank you for
Well,
joining, and thank you so much, Corina. You're my hero of the day.
well, thank you, Richard. So happy that you were here to share your last online class with all of us. I have a little bit of info to share with everyone before we sign off. As usual, I've got a few resources for you all. And again, these will come to your email inbox with links that you can just click on. So don't worry about trying to scribble all of this down right now. I will send this all to you along with the link to the recording. But we have some online resources, including Mindfulness Northwest's website, and then a handful of books available, and DVD. I shouldn't say just books. This time we've got a DVD as well that are available in the library's collection that touch on the topic of mindfulness. So feel free to dive into those if you're looking for more information. And then to give you all a heads up for next time, we will meet again on Tuesday, August 20th, again at 11 a.m. here on Zoom. And our topic will be small batch cooking and baking. We'll have Bridget Light, who is the nutrition educator at the WSU Clallam County Extension Office, here with us to talk about cooking and baking for 1 to 2 people, how to keep it fresh and tasty and economical, and help us resist the urge to just reach for those overly processed, pre-prepared, but oh so easy meals that tempt us at the grocery store. So that is what we will be talking about in August. And that concludes today's program. Again, thank you to Richard for sharing all of this with us and for your patience through our excitement. And thanks to all of you for your interest in aging well, and thanks to the library's friends organizations across the county for supporting the program. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you in August.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.